Hey everybody, it's Neil, and you're listening to the Big Bad Movie Show. And once again, I'm joined by Ben of Ben Comic Graphics and Majestic Knight Comic.com. Hello, sir.
Hello, it's good to be here.
And we're gonna watch. We're gonna do a second pass on Spaceballs because we recorded once before, and we kind of forgot that this is a commentary slash topic show. We kind of got caught watching the movie, and also had some audio issues where we couldn't hear each other, and it's kind of hard to have a conversation when we don't hear each other.
Yes.
And I won't be releasing that as like a bonus show because it's just I listen to it, I'm like, oh god, this is so painful. So anyway, as usual, we're going to be paused on 0, and we'll do a countdown from 5, and I'll let Ben do the countdown.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Ruh, ruh, Dorothy.
Well, that was nicer than what you said last time.
About how, that lion's dead. It's, whenever I watch movies with other people, whenever there's like an old person in a movie or a dog or a cat, I'm like, oh, how old is this movie? And if it's older than 20 years, I'm like, oh, they're dead. And if it doesn't get a reaction the first time you do it, but after about 7 or 8 times, the people in the room are like, stop it! It's not funny! Chapter 11.
Yes. Their precious atmosphere. Again, I have to say it. I was shocked when I found out this movie had a 54% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What the hell is wrong with people?
And again, it's like I love the fact that there's an opening crawl here and everything, but I've said it before. I'll say it again. I've seen this movie like at least 50 times before I saw Star Wars, and what I love this movie because I had like a VHS copy off of a live airing on TV, and I watched it so many times it was practically worn off. The tape was worn thin, and here we go. If you can see this. No, it's not
You
there yet.
don't need glass. Oh.
Yeah, there it is, right there. I love that.
And of course, the opening crawl comes from Buck Rogers and other serials of the era.
Yes.
Was homaged in Star Wars and parodied here.
Yes. And what I love here is, yes, Spaceball 1 is a gigantic ship, but look at the quality of this kit bashing. This is not just, oh, we don't give a fuck, we have to make a big spaceship for a comedy movie. This is someone, like, poured their heart and soul in making this ship.
Yeah. Well, they worked with ILM on this movie. I don't know if ILM had anything to do with the kits, but they clearly took inspiration from what they were doing, where they found the best looking kits they could find, whatever looked like a spaceship part or whatever. They just glued it all together and came up with this excellent spaceship here.
Yeah. And again, there's no slacking off. There is some amazing, insane attention to detail here. I mean,
yeah.
And any other parody movie would be making a joke about the length of the ship by now. But I think the fact that they're letting the length of the ship be the joke is what helps.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's like this sort of shot is again a callback to the opening shot of the New Hope, and also what's it called, Alien with the Nostromo,
right?
And again, this came out in the '80s, back when people had license, bumper stickers,
right? And what's funny is that the Star Destroyers in Star Wars actually are that big.
Yes.
It's just that nobody had ever done in the original movies, they didn't do a pan shot that ridiculously. Rick Moranis, he's like, oh, he's such a great character actor. He always plays the little twerpy dude in every movie. He's always the same character, whether he's good or bad, hero or villain. He's just this little 5 foot nothing Jewish guy.
And there's the President Scroob nickel on his belt.
Right. The Kennedy $50
Yeah.
or
I just love how they went with the whole Spaceball thing, and they're literally wearing these ball helmets.
mm-hmm. And sometimes just I don't I don't know if petty is the right word, but the incidental dialogue where they're just like I you told me to inform you when Planet Duridia was in sight, sir. And he's like, yeah, and Planet Duridia is in sight, sir. Just the awkward dialogue that you would normally not put in a movie, but we've all been there. We've all had that sort of conversation. I love this shot of Colonel Sanders coming up here. That one where he's the first time I saw this, I thought he was like watching the guy get his nuts sizzled, and I'm like, what the hell is that look?
Well, it was throughout the movie that.
The nut protection. Was there a? I think there was a product named Mr. Coffee, right?
There was, yes.
Yeah, which plays off coming up here in a second.
Yes. Right there.
Nice CRT effect there. Did everyone hear that expository dialogue? Gee, we're only a few minutes into this movie, and they already got the important exposition out of the way,
Ooh!
explaining the motivation of the villains.
Reformed.
Yes. Prince Valium.
Yes. And Dick Van Patten.
Outside of a Weird Al Yankovic music video.
I know.
You know, you always think of him as the stuffy character, you know, the father from Eight is Enough, but this guy had such a sense of humor, and I don't think he got to exercise it nearly enough.
Oh, and Joan Rivers, one of the greatest
Yeah.
female comedians of all time. Small joke, but funny.
Mm-hmm. I know I'm going to get her name wrong because I don't have the DVD case here next to me, but Daphne Zanita,
Yes.
yeah, and what else has she been in?
I think she was in what was it called? That show with Alan Thicke.
Oh, Growing Pains?
Yes, wasn't she?
I don't think so. I don't think that the daughter was a different character.
Oh, I thought for sure. Jeez.
Maybe she was in Just the Ten of Us, which is the spin-off. I don't know, probably not. How old is this movie?
Uh, 30 years.
That guy's dead.
Shit.
Well, the dot matrix is on rollerblades. Now, obviously, that is not Joan Rivers
No.
under that suit, but they made sure to give her the Joan Rivers haircut.
And probably and probably the least amount of metal in her face ever.
Oh, my sister has this album.
Oh, Family Ties. She was in Family Ties.
Ah, okay, but
She actually, but yeah,
not one of the core cast because that was Justine Bateman, and the other one was Tina Yothers.
yeah, but yeah, she actually was quite a looker. It's kind of sad that she didn't really like do anything else.
Yeah, and she doesn't. I don't mean to be cruel or anything, but she doesn't really have the acting chops, and sometimes I wonder if that's why they cast her because the acting in Star Wars was kind of stilted and wooden on purpose to some extent.
Yes,
So I always kind of wonder if they got Daphne and Bill Pullman for that reason. Because Bill Pullman's not really one of my favorite actors either. But he seems so appropriate for this role. And this is his best movie, by far.
and love John Candy in this movie.
Oh, I love John Candy on principle.
Yeah, what they did with these ears was they actually had these animatronics coiffed into his hair. They actually styled him into his actual hair. John
Yeah.
Candy had to grow his hair out pretty long. Ooh,
And that's going to be a running gag throughout this movie.
I think that's supposed to be like a what's it called guy video. Uh,
Oh,
Max Headroom.
yeah, a little bit Max Headroom. Not visually, of course. Max Headroom was more plastic, but uh, Pizza the Hut,
Dom DeLuise.
kind of a not really a knee slapper on the pun scale, but I think I would be disappointed if Mel Brooks did not go for that pun because it's such an obvious pun to make.
I just love that the fact that it's this outfit is literally melting.
It's both delicious and disgusting looking at the same time.
I think this is actually really pepperoni and like pieces of green pepper falling down, not like props. I think this is like really pepperoni.
Possibly. Probably not real cheese though, because that would get really disgusting after
Couple of shots.
after about an hour of being under the hot lights. Dairy products do not have a long shelf life on a soundstage,
Yes.
which is why whenever you see someone throw a pie in slapstick, it's usually shaving cream.
Didn't Rogue One steal this shot?
Possibly.
Speaking of which, one of the best Star Wars visual gags ever is coming up.
Hmm.
It's a pill.
That's great.
Yes, love it.
All of these like really innocent jokes that are in this movie, and yet it's mixed in with penis jokes.
And what I love is you can actually see behind them all the luggage, all the royal luggage that comes into play later.
Right. That's the funny thing about this movie is like all the penis jokes that I forgot were in this movie, and so I showed this to my sister's kids when they were really young. I'm like, oh, you'll love this movie. And then Lord Helmet came on screen, and immediately the dick jokes started coming out, and I had to sit there and try not to laugh.
And you had to sit there like with your finger like permanently holding your collar out, like
Yeah,
yeah, Perry air.
because if I dared laugh at anything, it would have been like, Uncle Neil, what does that mean? Nothing. Watch the movie.
Commander Rats. That's sexist.
Snotty.
Yes.
Now, speaking of just how much care was put into this movie, being as authentic as possible, they really captured the transporter effect here.
Yeah.
For something that's on the screen exactly like one time.
Yes. Well, two times actually, but
Yeah, well, I kind of meant one scene, but
yes.
ah, yes.
How'd you explain that to your kid, to your
Well,
sister's kid?
they fat asses is that's more of an innocent joke. Everyone understands a fat ass.
Okay. In that one,
Yeah. It's like a poop joke. Everyone understands poop.
that's true.
Everybody poops, man.
Nobody poops for you.
That's the Catholic version.
Yes.
Predictable joke in three, two, one, go.
I love the salute though.
Yes. These two, I recognize them from so many movies, and I'm not processing it. I can't remember.
Chew your gum.
And I don't think they've ever been shown together other than this movie. I like how this gigantic spaceship is sneaking up on this little hatchback spaceship.
And this is one of those great jokes that was still okay in the television edit. Because after Blazing Saddles, as Neil would tell, yeah, Mel Brooks decided to do his own TV edit.
Yeah. Well, Mel Brooks did shoot a couple alternative takes for Blazing Saddles, but he kind of left it to the studio to come up with their own edit for like the more racy jokes. And their solutions were really strange, like the farting scene where instead of instead of hearing the farts, you would just hear the horses react, and it was like this really strange. I don't even know how to describe it. It was the guys sitting up to fart and nothing was coming out. And
Yeah,
then and then there was in the theatrical cut there was one scene where Bart defeats Mongo, but for the TV edit they did like four scenes,
yeah,
and it just felt like a Roadrunner cartoon.
yeah. Well, here they said assholes, but in the
Yeah,
TV cut it was moron.
yeah, yeah. It's
It
like every scene where it could be even slightly perceived as like racy or adult, they Mel Brooks thought to do an alternate take to leave as little to the studio as possible. God, I miss him. I love this wild take he does. That's the great thing about Mel Brooks' characters. This king is a little bit of a cheapskate.
Yeah. And what I love is when you see this car and you actually see close-ups of it, there is actually a Mercedes-Benz like insignia on it.
Right.
And I wonder who had to pay who for that.
I'm sure Mel had to fork over some cash for that. Because it is very incidental. If it had been the other way, if it was Mercedes paying for the product placement, that car would be that spaceship would be in this movie a lot more.
What about what
And
about
you,
what about Winnebago?
uh, I don't know. And I love that that's how they lampoon the Falcon.
Yeah.
It's just by going with a Winnebago.
And which is what the Falcon is. It's like the ultimate like dirty bachelor vehicle.
Yeah, it is. It's the Bachelor ride. I mean, another way you could have gone was like maybe a U-Haul truck or like
Or a VW bus with a carpet interior.
yeah, or like what are one of those land yachts like the
Like a Buick.
like yeah, like a big old Buick. That would have been good.
That's great.
Yeah. Michael Winslow from the Police Academy movies,
Yes.
which haven't aged very well.
No, they haven't.
It's like that and Porky's, two movies from the '80s that everyone thought was like hysterical, and now you can't. They're unwatchable.
Yeah, you'd have to explain what a glory hole is.
Hmm. This guy's whole thing was that he could do Foley sound effects with his mouth.
Jan.
This is a great gag.
Raspberry. Boom.
The first time I saw that, I giggled that they did a they did like a triple entendre there. It's like we're gonna jam
The
the
radar.
radar by literally throwing a jar of jam at it, and it was raspberry. So he's giving. It's
Dark.
not as funny. It's not as funny when I explain it. He's
Yeah.
giving Dark Helmet the raspberry, but in the movie, it's hysterical.
Yes.
This is why you don't explain things because you lose the humor, folks. Uh,
Oh.
I think I use that joke every time I would play Final Fantasy VI. There's a character named Mog. And the music in this movie, careful attention given to the music. It's not silly music. It's very well. It can be silly in the moment, but it's taken very seriously.
Yes. again, this is the strength of Spaceballs is without knowing about Star Wars, it's still its own cohesive plot.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was just a funny space adventure, and then I saw Star Wars, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bog's room.
Mm-hmm. It's like the music of this movie is almost a little bit inspired from like the classic Looney Tunes. How from the '40s onward they took the music very seriously and just let it uh you know add to the scene and not become part of the joke. Oh, this.
Love that.
Only Mel Brooks could get away with that.
Yes.
Druish princess.
Again, great model work.
Yeah,
See the Mercedes Benz
yeah, I
insignia?
see it. Yep. Camera angle, very reminiscent of Star Wars. Just shoots the guy a look.
Spoiled rotten.
Hmm. We don't really have character actors anymore. It's a damn shame.
Yes. That's the one fat guy.
Yeah,
Never noticed that before.
I like that they have fat stormtroopers in this.
Yes.
Like I said, I love that he's this little twerpy guy, and he's trying to play the big bad. I didn't catch what that sign is in his back window.
Maybe on board.
Sorry, we're just kind of laughing at the
Yes.
movie, but we can't help it. It's Spaceballs.
Yes. And I love ludicrous speed. The joke here is the original effects for like the Starfield zooming in, out for light speed is just like a ray trace drawing done by a computer.
Right.
And 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 around this time, like Commodore 64s and Ataris, there were ray tracing programs people could use to draw all sorts of things. And
Hmm.
what they discovered is whenever they like try to draw a really complicated pattern and mirror it, it always looks like plaid. That's what the joke is, Neil.
Ah, okay. Because this always seemed kind of like a strange joke. It's like it's just like a little bit. Uh, what's the word for it? Maybe a little bit off the mark.
Ah, see, I got it because because
Yeah.
I had one of those drawing programs on my Atari when I was growing up.
Ah, okay. And we talked over the part where he goes, "What's the matter, Colonel Sanders?
Chicken.
Chicken." This character's name that they came up with for exactly one joke.
I love this thing actually says never use. And this shot is fantastic.
Yeah. And they flew him into that console with a wire set. And they had to rotoscope that out, and that's I would have thought that would be a little too complicated for 1987, 1986, 87, whenever this came out. Because you know, what was it? Back to the Future 2 sure made a big deal when they could composite three characters played by Michael J. Fox in the same static shot. They were like, "Oh, isn't this amazing? Look how far we've come with special effects." And they were already doing it for movies like this.
Yes. Another great joke coming in. How many times have you gone on a trip with somebody and ran out of gas because the person you that had to fill up only put
Yeah,
$5 with it?
yeah. It's a very guy joke,
Yes,
a road trip joke.
yes.
And here's where we get the Tatooine stuff into the movie.
Yes. Yeah, near where I live is actually a studio that had tours where they actually had like the Winnebago and Spaceball One miniatures there for us to look at. They did tours and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really was. The Winnebago has so much detail on it.
Yeah, movie miniatures are amazing. How if you get really into the minute detail of making a miniature, you can make it look any size you want. Like there are so many scenes in this movie of that Winnebago where it's just a toy and you can't even tell. And
I
it gets
know.
really close. It gets really close to the camera too. It's like the only good parts of Peter Jackson's King Kong are the miniature shots of the Venture. How you can get so close to it and even see like the lights and everything on it, and all the wear and tear of it being on the sea and how amazing it looks. And the only digital that they did to it was adding in the ocean around it.
Highness. I love John Candy in this.
Oh god, he was so good, and he died way too young.
I know. In the little dainty parasol.
And just having a character who's a dog basically is was the premise for Chewbacca, because Chewbacca was based on George kind of riding around in his car with his dog.
Yep.
So they took it to a literal degree in this movie.
Yep.
God, it's been so long. What else is he? What had John Candy been in? It was
Uncle Buck,
yeah, Uncle Buck. There
Home
was
Alone,
it. Yeah. Oh God. What was it?
Planes,
Did he
Trains,
do a
Up.
movie with planes, trains, and automobiles?
And what I love is Dark Helmet drinking the coffee through his respirator.
You just kind of hear
Gurgle,
it,
gurgle,
kind of
gurgle.
gurgling through it.
Doesn't have to make sense. It's a great visual gag.
Yeah. I know there's a joke coming up here in a minute, but before we get to that, John Candy was famously part of Second City, and he did a bit as Orson Welles,
Oh,
where he just
did you see the Rockies?
uh no,
All the way to Rocky 12.
oh yeah, but he did a bit as Orson Welles, where he they kind of lampooned that famous tape that no one had even heard at that point, where he's like talking to personnel off camera. He's like, "You do your job, fella." Yes, always. Great Orson Welles impersonation. Now, what really would have sold this is if the VHS cover for this was actually what you saw in the scene just a moment ago.
This shot is still fantastic. It makes
Yeah.
it's even funnier sped up.
It's like the humor of Dark Helmet is just not only is he this twerpy little guy, but he's constantly being emasculated.
Yes. Years before George Lucas emasculated Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, this was made during the era when Star Wars was still cool.
Yes.
It's like before it was
Soup.
recontextualized. It's just amazing how much the prequels transform that saga. How the way we envisioned Star Wars back then is so much different than the way we think about it now.
That's
Like back then, it was still mostly a sci-fi sort of series, and now it's so much more about the mysticism and all that crap.
yes.
And I know that's what George Lucas wanted all along, but still,
Yes.
actually, it was originally conceived as he was going to do Buck Rogers, right?
Yes.
And no, it was Flash Gordon. Because he tried to get Flash Gordon, and Dino De Laurentiis swooped in and got it.
Ah.
Yeah, and made that. Which,
Hey, that wasn't that bad. I mean, you had Brian Blessed as the leader of the Hawkmen.
oh yes,
I love how Lone Star is such an obvious combination of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker.
right,
Like Lone, Solo, Star,
yeah,
Skywalker. It's so obvious, but it works.
right.
And the only thing that would make it worse is if he wore that fucking cowboy hat throughout the whole movie, which I'm glad they didn't do. I mean, it was only on his head, like in that one scene where he's sleeping.
Right.
Because if that was on his head the whole fucking movie, that would have ruined this movie.
And his greatest moment on screen is probably Independence Day, right? That famous speech he gives toward the end.
Yeah, we will not give up without a fight. Yeah. And what I love is how people mistake him for Bill Paxton.
Which I understand and don't understand at the same time because they're not the same at all. But
No.
just their names, both being a Bill P, for some reason makes it easy to confuse them. And even I've done it. where I've said Bill Paxton, no, Bill Pullman, that sort of thing.
I almost
I don't
want.
know.
I almost want to see Bill Pullman pinball now.
Bill Pullman pinball. The ball would just gutter every time.
And again, amazing. Mel Brooks got a great performance out of Bill Pullman.
Well, like I said, he's so stilted in his acting that he's perfect for the part
Yes.
because he's doing a George Lucas character.
I love this. Virgin Alarm. Yeah. Get off before you do. Nice dissolve.
Nice dissolve, yeah. I love this joke coming up
Yeah.
because that's always the campy thing about them walking through the desert is they're going water, water, right here.
Yes.
That she's such a brat.
Yes. Aw. I love that position with the foot sticking up.
Right.
What's funny to me about this is C-3PO is partially based visually off of the robot woman from Metropolis.
Yeah.
That thud. And dot matrix is obviously some inspiration from the source.
Right.
The Ewoks, the Jawas, and the Munchkins all rolled into one.
Right. And Dot Matrix was also the name of one of the characters in
Reboot,
Reboot, right?
but
Yeah.
they stole it from this, obviously.
Yeah.
And the
Well, it's such an easy
in the
joke to
printer,
make.
and the printer, I know.
Yeah. And the screen, the dot matrix screens.
Yes.
That was the reason why some of you older video game fans, you would see a product code on the Game Boy games that said DMG, stood for dot matrix game, which I think was like the early code name for the Game Boy.
Yes. And they all march with them.
I love the march here because it's just so silly. I don't even know what this is reminding me of, but it reminds me of something.
Hi ho, hi ho.
A little bit, but
Oh God. Yeah, I see the mirror now. I never noticed that mirror was so obvious.
yeah, well, that's how they did it in Star Wars. They would put a mirror underneath this thing that's, just sitting on the ground, but there's the mirror there to kind of mask the base of the car, so it looks like you can just see through to the other side
Yeah.
of the sand dune. But really, it's just reflecting all the sand that's in front of it. So they're doing all the same tricks that were done in Star Wars,
Yes.
but you will never see a special edition recut of this movie. But there is a special edition of Hardware Wars, and it does go to great lengths to make fun of the cheesy CGI that was inserted into those films.
Yes. I mean, the
Genius.
only way they could make this worse is if they like visually insert like a talking carrot to say obnoxious things that the main characters just don't even respond to. I think that's the only way they could do that.
Right. You know, when I was watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I took note of how Bob Hoskins, he looks like he's actually looking at Roger. He's able to do a thing with his eyes where he's like refocusing at something that isn't there. So it always looks like he's talking to Roger.
Yes.
But, you know, Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3, those characters look so lost, and whenever they would look at Jar Jar, it was strange because they were looking right past him.
Yes. You hated me.
Just plain yogurt. The Schwartz.
The Schwartz.
And then sometimes the joke is simply, hey, Mel's Jewish.
Yes. Merchandising.
Once again, that was a perfect sync.
What I love about this is a joke about how Star Wars became such a billion dollar franchise
Yeah.
because basically when George Lucas made Star Wars with 20th Century Fox, the agreement was that he
He got
got
the
all
merchandising
yes,
rights.
and basically
Most of these are Transformers toys, by
yes,
the way. I had
flamethrower.
that no, I didn't have the flamethrower. I had the coloring book. It was a weird, dark story about Optimus Prime going to Cybertron because all the Autobots died, and he had to go to Cybertron to get new Autobots. And it was before Transformers the movie when they bumped everyone off.
Another 80s song.
Yep.
Wonder what he's doing.
He's under Spaceballs, the bed sheets.
Yes. I love that they actually had to create at least one of these.
Mm-hmm.
What's that book
And
he
this,
has?
uh, I assume that's Nixon. I can't really read it.
I love that.
Oh yes.
I love that his helmet is a giant pilt helmet.
Mm-hmm. They kind of lampshade the obvious joke here. It's like, are we taking this too literally? This guy coming up here is my favorite character in the movie.
The only thing that would make it better is if he had like a little one of those sticking out of his helmet.
I don't know. I think that's too much. In fact, I would have cut that even faster. Like we ain't found shit. Cut. Just don't even hang on it. Just I'm such a stickler for timing.
Yes.
Once again, the joke is Mel is Jewish.
Yes.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Of the shorts. I mean, is that trick photography or is there actually a big Mel Brooks statue?
I I'm pretty sure that's a real thing because Barf walks into the shot here and it's clearly right next to him.
Yes.
I mean, there should be no doubt for a movie made in 1986 because there really wasn't this kind of compositing back then.
Oh,
And by the way, you can also see by the head wobbling around that it's full size, but they use styrofoam, so it's like a little bit on the light side.
so this thing's probably long since deteriorated.
Oh yeah, this thing's long gone.
Damn it! I would have loved to have like a giant yogurt statue. I would buy a house just to put it in it.
I mean, stuff that big, it's styrofoam.
Yeah. Love that.
Oh man.
What I love is this is like one of those bedrooms that look like it was used for like a movie like what's it called Death Stalker or
Yeah, kind of.
yeah, it's like literally like for this like yogurt fortress. They're like, hey, you know, uh, Death Stalker fish filming here. Let's just use this set.
Yeah, it's kind of a Golan Globus, Roger Corman type set. Oh, here's where Dick Van Patten shines again.
Yes, and that eye roll fooled you.
That soundbite, I got I got to use that a few times.
Yes.
I know I had an April Fool's Day joke on the site a number of years ago where I got to use it.
And this departing
Back when,
shot doesn't make any sense. Was the ship on the planet or were they? But it works. It works cinematically and storytelling wise. But it's one of those things that if you think about it, doesn't make sense.
yeah. Fortune cookies are entirely an American invention, right?
That is correct. California.
Yep.
God willing, that was never made.
Yep. And this joke would have been so painful had they actually made it.
Yes.
And I know there's always been like some rumblings of a sequel in the planning here and there, but I'm glad that they never went through with it.
Uh,
And they had a guy who could do John Candy's voice, but he died recently.
yeah.
So
Again, the attention to detail to the Winnebago, the fact they had the step that
yeah,
came in. I,
good luck.
I mean, wasn't that like a feature that only new Winnebagos started getting recently?
Maybe.
The automatic step. Oh, love this joke. And one of the deals for this movie being made was pretty much these dolls do not exist.
Yeah, no merchandising,
Yes.
which is which put into perspective of what George Lucas's deal with 20th Century Fox was. That's kind of it's kind of ironic.
You gotta remember, George Lucas has always been a slight hypocrite.
Yeah,
I mean, he testified to Congress that Ted Turner should not colorize any movies. Movies should
And then
exist.
he,
Yeah, movies should exist in the forms that they originally came out in only.
mhm. And he's always been altering his films. I mean, a lot of people look to the special editions and him more recently trying to make 3D editions of his movies, but I'm pretty sure that those Star Wars movies have always been in a constant state of little tiny changes here and there. Like I know, like even when it was in its original theatrical run, whenever they would cut the movie for a different aspect ratio, he'd be like, "Oh, let's change this here. Let's change this sound effect."
Yes.
I love the idea that he wipes his ass
Dark
with
Helmet's.
Dark Helmet.
I love this unlisted wall joke. Great dick joke here. And that
The
look,
look she.
that knowing look she shoots the audience.
That smirk.
Yes.
This was another scene where I had to kind of bite my lip around the kids. The joke coming up here in a few minutes. I love that dirty look. She gives him the stink eye for having that picture. Where did you get that?
Who is the actress for that nurse?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I should have a cast list with me here because all these movies, it's I get caught like, oh, this actor, and I don't have the name. This is almost prophetic.
Yes.
It's like the launch codes for how many years were like 0000.
Yes.
That's, funny enough, that's kind of the way people make their passwords on their computer.
Yep.
I hate the people who will have bank accounts and it's their kids' birthdays, shit like that. By the way, don't do that. People can figure it out.
Yes. And here's the joke.
Yeah.
The way that Sanders shivers there. They sort of step back.
Rick Moranis' performance is all in his reaction. It's not even what he's saying. It's how he reacts to what the other characters are doing. Such a brilliant comedian. He doesn't even have to talk, and he's funny.
There's that Winnebago.
Yeah. Now that's obviously a miniature.
Yeah.
That's almost like MSTK right there. That was changed for the TV version.
Yeah, on the TV he had his hands wiggling underneath his chin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assless pants. I love that character with the smarmy voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going down, Mr. Pettifork.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he has an even funnier line in just a few scenes from now.
Yes. I love the oversized key.
I must have missed that the first 10 times I saw this movie.
Yes.
By the way, that is a testament to this movie that I can watch it 10 times or more and still love it. Because there are some movies where it's like, yeah, once is enough.
Yes.
I don't ever need to see Citizen Kane ever again. I'm glad I've seen it,
Yes. I
but I'm
feel the
like,
same
yeah,
way.
this is not something I need to see again. And I do believe that's her real voice.
That is her real voice.
And in the 80s, they would not have had the ability to pitch her down while maintaining the speed. That's a much more recent invention.
Yes. Auto-tune.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know, it's just funny how we can have movies from the 80s that don't have the sound technology that we have with Audacity.
Yes. And again, it's like a lot of thought went into the Spaceballs, like soldier uniforms
Hmm.
with like these stupid panels on it everywhere.
Again, special effects taken right from Star Wars.
Yes.
This laser fire is uh, pretty sure it's just simple compositing,
Yeah.
like actually drawn into the movie
Yeah.
itself.
I love the fact that,
I love this guy tries to run away.
yes.
Oh, that was the Wilhelm scream. I never noticed that before.
Again, I love that he calls them ping pongs. And again, one of the greatest jokes ever coming up.
Hmm. Open the blast doors! Open the blast doors!
Close the blast doors. Great character actor right here.
I love this snooty guy.
Yes.
And what sells it is the princess has the most facial hair.
Yes. I love that they established it really quickly.
Yeah. Whereas some other movie that we may have watched would have spent a lot of time on the dialogue to explain it, to make sure to hammer it into your head. And, as Ben and I are both writers, and I think both of us learned over time that you need to trust your audience.
Yes. Show don't tell.
Yeah. They, you do have intelligent people viewing your movie, reading your comics, whatever you're making. Trust them. They can get it.
And that was Holy Milk Bones in the TV edit.
Yeah. That dialogue would have triggered somebody today.
Yes.
Not bad for a girl. Somewhere Anita Sarkeesian is losing her mind.
I love this joke.
Okay, this coming up here. Now, this isn't the joke. That's the joke.
Yes. Ooh,
I love that shrug he does. Oh, Rick Moranis, we do miss you.
we do. It's
Come back to us.
well, he's retired.
I know. Didn't he talk about maybe coming out of retirement recently?
I think if the project was right.
Yeah. Oh, here. Wow, this movie is just flying by.
I know.
It's like watching Ghostbusters, how you're like, oh my god, we're already in the third act.
I know.
You
It
know, I think this is where people get the idea that, oh, we have to make movies longer now. We have to be epic length. No, it's okay. We can. I'm okay with a shorter movie than I am with a longer one.
it's a transformer.
Oh, the childhood version of myself was so excited that my favorite toy as a kid was acknowledged in a major Hollywood movie. It's like everything I love is now justified. And that was before Michael Bay crushed everything I loved about that franchise.
I know. And
But it
again,
was,
I,
to be fair, it was also before I looked at the third season with adult eyes.
yes. I love how ridiculous the idea is. They're going to use a vacuum cleaner with a maid with a vacuum cleaner to take the air out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mega maid.
She has to flick the
I
switch.
know. I love it. And these are, you know, rather primitive special effects shots, but they're
Right.
hilarious nonetheless.
Exactly. Well, I love comedian directors who have the presence of mind to even kind of make fun of the primitive special effects.
Yes.
Like they're cognizant of it in the time. It's like, this looks kind of silly. Let that be the humor of it.
Wow.
You know, not half of the movie, but the last act of this movie kind of reminds me of the end of Transformers.
Yes.
Because this is a very Unicron type object that they're going up against here.
Yes.
Again, special effects of the era.
Yes. But it works.
Yeah, and it's authentic to the source material.
Yes.
Maybe not necessarily Star Wars, but Star Trek definitely.
Yes. And they step back.
Uncle Neil, what does that mean? Nothing.
And again, all they do is reverse the existing
Yeah.
shots. But it's hilarious. It works great.
Yeah. Oh, this movie is so wonderful. And you were saying the first time around that this is a different take on the trench run. If they had just done the trench run, it would have not been anywhere near as funny,
That's true.
and it would have been more like the Family Guy version of this, where you can't really make a joke about the trench run, so they have to fill it with all these other jokes going on. You know, like all
Or
the red team jokes, how you Big Red, the chewing gum, and Red Fox, and all this other crap.
I'm coming, Elizabeth. And the Porkins joke,
Hmm.
which was horrible.
I mean, the funniest joke in the Family Guy take on Star Wars was when they killed the John Williams music orchestra, and they had to replace it with Danny Elfman.
Yes,
That was funny.
yes. Again, the music here is great because it fits the tone of what's going on in the scene.
Hmm.
It's not just some old bullshit incidental music. And what I love here is you know what's happening because they're letting you
Hmm.
know. There's not it. It's a light. It's a light. It lets you know that someone opened the door,
Hmm.
and you know, oh my goodness, that's an alarm. They know now
Yep.
without having to see scenes where you see Dark Helmet being informed. We have an alarm in the head unit somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Mel Brooks, much like uh, Weird Al Yankovic, is not just good because he's a parody artist. He's actually a good artist in general. He's a great director.
Yes. I mean, a great example of this is Empire Strikes Back. In the original cut, you don't see scenes of Darth Vader coming back to a Star Destroyer after being
Yeah.
on the Cloud City.
Right.
But in the special edition, they actually like cut in like these three additional scenes of Vader going back to his ship, which are not needed at all.
Yeah. It just drove him nuts that, oh, I don't have this connection here.
Yeah.
You don't need it. Nobody. More Spaceballs product placement.
Yes.
Yeah, but Mel Brooks understands the structure of a movie. And he could do a serious movie if he wanted. In fact, he may have. Wasn't he, didn't he do what was that movie? The Elephant Man. Didn't he direct that?
With Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, the one they did in black and white.
Let me check.
I'm pretty sure that was his movie.
No, that was David Lynch.
Oh, well, I know Mel Brooks has done at least one serious movie, and I'll figure out what it is.
Yeah, I love that. First time, last time. Yeah. I love that they go to the crotch to light them up.
Yeah. Again, the penis jokes.
Yes.
Mel Brooks.
I love they look down. Handle it.
Very homoerotic all of a sudden.
Yes. They're touching swords.
Hmm. Who's the guy from Three's Company?
Um, John
Oh
Ritter.
God, yeah, he was in a movie. I think it was Remote Control, where they had done a joke of Star Wars, where with light up condoms that look like lightsabers.
Really?
Yeah, very strange movie. That was during his downtime when he was kind of in the same boat with John Travolta, where he was typecast and he couldn't get any work.
Ah. And they get their swords twisted.
Uh,
Touching
touching
tips.
tips. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised there aren't more fraudage jokes in this scene.
Yes. This is a great joke, though.
Yeah, classic schoolyard bully joke.
Oh,
I love how he gloats. Yeah. What else makes this movie work so well is just understanding the source material and taking the time to lampshade what Star Wars was, but also tell a story with it.
yes.
Unlike today's movies, where they just get enough of a trailer and they're already making a parody out of it before they know what the movie really is.
Yes.
Like all the epic movie and scary movie bullshit.
Yes. Those seltzer movies. I love that. I love it's like one of those 80s telemarketing like voices, you know?
Right. The the woman on the intercom at the shopping mall.
Yes.
Mall is closing in 5 minutes. And there actually is a circus on board.
Yes.
Uh, I miss nonpartisan jokes.
Yes.
Nowadays, that would be much, much more targeted.
Yes. Spaceballs.
Once again, Ben is confirming that we're in sync
I
by
I
singing along.
I can't help it.
I know, but if there's any doubt that if we were ever out of sync, you always make sure to confirm that we are.
Ooh, great visual, Jim.
Hmm.
That one
Again,
shot.
stuff very faithful to Star Wars. That is the exact effect that they used for the escape pods in the beginning of Star Wars.
Yes.
By the way, I am being kind of passive aggressive by not calling it Episode 4: A New Hope. I'm
It's the
I'm
best work.
almost I'm almost on board with just going back to calling them by their original theatrical names and just saying, look, screw the episodes. Just pretend the prequels never happened. Mm,
I love that section making a clicking sound.
yeah. Rule of comedy number whatever. Only a cheesy bear costume will do. The cheesier the better.
Yes. I love how they slide down the.
Hmm. Ain't that the truth? You got the touch.
Have a nice day. I almost feel bad that they had to build a Mega Man and then blow it up. Because it's one of those explosions where you can tell they did actually blow up a miniature for it.
Right.
Not just one of those generic explosions that they put on top of it and composite.
Yeah. And here you can kind of see where they're going, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you don't really guess where they're going.
Ate himself to death.
Thousand.
Well,
Beautiful shot.
beautiful miniatures.
Yeah.
Is that a miniature castle with a map painting behind it?
I don't know. That may be a real castle. It may be like half and half, where it's like a picture that they kind of comp together with a painting. I don't know.
I see. Just it looks
Yeah.
so good though.
Yeah, it does.
I love how much of an asshole this guy is. Right?
Right.
Oh, there's the Falcon. Did you see that?
I missed it.
Oh, it's there.
I'll go back and take a look at once we're done. Van Halen,
Yes.
right after they fired the best guy in the band.
Yeah. What do you have, Neil?
I'll take the special.
And we had to call out this video we saw April 1st. Someone actually tied Spaceballs to the Alien universe with this upcoming gag. Did it in a very documentary style. Great video.
Yeah, and it actually kind of makes sense.
Yes.
And they got John Hurt for this,
I know.
which totally sells it.
I know. What this black guy says is hilarious.
Mm.
Right here. Always cracks me up. Yes.
Oh, rest in peace, John Hurt. Such a weird non sequitur.
But it's great. Again, they had to build this puppet just for this joke.
Right.
And that look.
John Candy. I remember what else John Candy did. He did 3 seasons of his own cartoon show, Camp Candy.
Oh God.
Yeah, produced by Deke,
Yes.
and I believe that was around the time that Deke was really going downhill.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It's Bagadeek.
After Gene Chalopin left, it just wasn't the same.
I love their space bucks.
Hmm.
Not space dollars, space bucks.
Well, that's not far off the mark. I mean, that's like in Transformers when on Earth we use seconds, but on Cybertron they're astroseconds. They throw in like future and outer space references into it to make it sound like a different unit of time or distance or whatever they're talking about.
His father was a mother, and his mother was a mother.
He's basically Dorf in this movie,
Yes.
just walking around on his knees.
I know. Liquid Schwartz.
Hmm. Again, such a simple effect here. Just throw a light bulb down in this tube and light it up as the liquid flows in. It's probably just water.
Yes. Great payoff of this joke, though.
Right. And these aren't merely Planet of the Apes like characters. These this is the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
And they recaptured the charm of those original prosthetics very faithfully.
I think these actually are the original prosthetics.
I don't know, those have a tendency to break down. I mean, they're not made from very durable material. They're just made to
This,
they're made to be as what's the word I'm looking for? They're made to be as pliable as possible
ah,
so that you can act in them. So they those were probably not just laying around. They had to remold those.
yes.
That's another joke that would not get much mileage in today's current year.
I love it. The groom side. I never noticed that before. I love the ridiculous Prince outfit he has.
Yeah, like, where did he get that? Was it just lying around on the Winnebago?
Yes.
And Barf had enough time to get his mane taken care of there,
Yes.
stylized. Bartholomew.
Bar fall on you.
uh,
If I ever get married, that's the ceremony I'm going to have.
the short version.
Yes. I
Oh, this is such a good movie.
know.
And a combination of innocent jokes and pee-pee jokes.
Yes. May the Schwartz be with you.
And the bravery to do so many puns in this.
Yes. And again, this movie stands on its own without Star Wars.
Right. I mean, we talked over the joke about him coming from the Ford Galaxy.
Yes. That was
See, puns can work, but you have to have the bravery to do it and the delivery.
yes.
Very 80s end credits sequence where we just freeze on random shit in the movie. Back before they did like a jillion post-credit scenes.
Big fan Patton.
Oh man, how many people from this movie are gone? Not too many, actually. I mean, Joan is gone. John Candy.
I know.
Yeah, Mel Brooks, good director.
Very good director. One of the best.
Yeah. And even though his movies kind of they kind of go down in quality over the years, they're still decent movies. They're all good.
I mean,
Like,
even Robin Hood Men in Tights is still a good movie.
yeah, and it's the weakest of all of his.
Yes. Oh, that's who was in the suit.
Yep.
I love how John Hurt got the top of this building here.
Right.
And there's Steven Tobolowsky. That's the campy, you idiots guy.
Yeah.
He has a great Steven Seagal story, by the way. I love this song. This whole movie, I just love it.
Yeah.
This movie has influenced so much of my personality, I think.
I love this movie.
And when everyone else, my age was like watching, I don't know, like Goonies and stuff like that. No, I was like, no, I'm all about the Spaceballs.
Yeah. See, what I was saying about how the I don't want to say the quality went down in his movies, because the quality really didn't. It was more the the comedy was not like really as sharp as the movies went along. But I don't think this deserves a 53 on Rotten Tomatoes.
No, that's bullshit.
That is total bullshit.
I mean, if it was like a 70 something, I'd be like, okay, I can see that. It's not
Yeah.
everyone's cup of tea, but this is a competent movie.
Yeah.
Major
Yeah,
asshole.
Jim J. Bullock. I'm trying to remember what sitcom he was on with
A Woman Diner,
might
Rhonda
have been
Shear.
Rhonda Shear.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's who that is. Rhonda Shear from USA Up All Night. Oh man, USA Network, they deleted every episode of that show, and I'm so pissed. Because that's one of those shows that was like sort of a contemporary of Mystery Science Theater, where it was blatantly a bad movie, but they would surround it with these comedy bits. And half the time it would be Rhonda Shear, who was hilarious, and the other half of the time it would be Gilbert Gottfried. And it would be on after WWF Primetime Wrestling, so sometimes they would get Bobby Heenan
Really?
to co-host with Gilbert Gottfried. And my God, if there was a funny comedy duo, it was those two.
Wow.
Because Bobby Heenan was fucking hysterical.
I believe it.
Yeah. There were a few shows like that. What was that? Billy Bob Briggs or whatever the hell his name was.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good too. Yeah, people kind of think of Mystery Science Theater as being unique among those, and it kind of was because they were the only ones that had the in-theater segments. But there were a lot of those crappy movie shows where they would just buy up shitty movies and kind of package it as a comedy bit.
True. Great movie.
Oh, that lion's dead.
Oh, come on. That line was
All right.
great movie, Neil.
Yep.
So,
All right, so
we'll catch you next time, guys.
yes, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back next week, folks.